You think you're tired because you're working too hard, but let me tell you that you're tired because you're holding everything together. You're gripping life so tightly that it's burning you out. And the worst part about this is you've convinced yourself that it's discipline. But what you see as discipline is often just another form of control. And control isn't power, it's just fear in disguise. It just gives you the illusion of order. But in the high-performing men that I've worked with, control is always rooted in some sort of trauma. It started as a survival strategy, but some point along the way, control, discipline became a lifestyle. Learning how to let go isn't weakness. It's about finally having the courage to look within and face what you've been using control and discipline to avoid your entire life. Okay, so let's get into this idea of control. And it's actually, this is something I've really been tuning into, because the recognition that the ego has one primary function, and that's to keep us safe. And it does so through the creation of what has been coined survival patterns. And so a survival pattern is essentially a behavior that you or the mind has created to protect you from feeling some sort of pain. And control is one of those things. But then the very act of doing more is the very thing that is stealing away the thing that we want to feel. And so let me give you an example. It's like freedom. This is what everyone's after. And people think that in order to get freedom, they have to get to some certain level of wealth, or they have to get to a place where they can hire enough people to do the things for them that are stealing their time. And when we look at that, it's like, if you're trying to go from A to B so you can get to point C, it's like, well, why don't you just go to point C? Or it's like, if you're trying to get to B to achieve A, why don't you just start at A? Or whatever that looks like. And so it's like trying to chase freedom. The very chasing of freedom is the thing that steals your freedom. Trying to control every element of your life with more discipline, more hard work, more systems, more procedures, whatever, is the very thing that ends up stealing your freedom. And so when we recognize all of this, then we want to look at, okay, well, if control was created by my mind to protect me from pain, then the question should be is, well, what is the pain that control is helping me avoid? And so this is really, really simple. It's like, if you felt like a loser in school, then you started to try and control every interaction with people. You started studying how to interact better with people. You started to work harder so you can make more money, so you felt like people respected you more, and then you never felt like you could be disrespected or not accepted ever again. And then as it forms into life, we just find that we try to control everything, because controlling things is what helped us avoid this pain in the past. But where you are today, probably by watching this video, is recognizing that that control, that needing to do more, is actually the source of your suffering. And this is the way it works with every single survival pattern that the mind creates. The survival pattern that the mind creates to protect you from feeling some sort of pain, the survival pattern in itself becomes the source of the pain. It's like doing, for example. Doing is like a survival pattern. We feel like we're less than. We've all experienced moments in our life where we felt good enough, less than, not accepted, whatever it is. And so we develop this mentality that if we do, we will be worthy. And so we've spent our entire lives doing. But the very act of doing is the source of all of our stress. And uncover what these survival patterns are. Learn to have the courage to lean into what they're protecting you from. This is when you can have everything that you want. You can have your cake and eat it too, by learning how to uncover all of this. And so essentially, for example, freedom. Freedom doesn't come from a destination. Freedom doesn't come from getting to some certain level of wealth. You can have freedom in your 9 to 5. The freedom is from the energy of having to do anything. And so this is kind of a really hard concept to articulate, but essentially it's freedom comes when the external factors in your world no longer mess with your internal life. And so yes, you still have responsibilities and obligations, but they're not from this energy of a needing to or having to. They're just there, and it doesn't create any shift in you. So while someone who feels free, nothing may look different on the outside, they're still doing all the same things that you're doing, but it's about the internal state that we're at. And so, for example, I have client calls, I have things that I need to do, that I have to do, but I don't feel like I have to do anything. And so that is a shift that was created in me that allowed me to have freedom before I even reached freedom from the outside world, which is the freedom of abundant wealth. Okay. And so when it comes to control, there's exact same thing is true, is as recognizing that when we're trying to control everything, we are trying to protect ourselves from some sort of feeling. And if you can just begin to do two things. One is recognize when you are controlling, recognizing when you're taking on too much, recognizing the energy of I'll just do it, recognizing the refusal to delegate to your employees if you're an entrepreneur. This is the controllers, okay? Recognizing that trying to tell everybody exactly how to do things so that they don't make the mistakes that you made. Just that awareness alone is enough to start stepping you out of control. The second part is when you notice it, now that you've started to notice this controlling behavior, the second thing I want you to do is I want you to say, what is me controlling this protecting me from feeling? So just look at the reverse. If I don't do this, it won't get done properly. That would be like a great line that most controllers will use. Okay. So what will happen if it doesn't get done properly? Then it's going to be more work for you. Oh, okay. So that's what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid the feeling of having more to do because you're at this place where you've drawn all of the responsibility, every element of life is on your shoulders. And so if someone else gives you one more ounce of responsibility, you're just going to crumble. And this is why you're probably frustrated, because anytime anything falls out of line with all of the things that you're already controlling and you feel like you have to add something more to your plate, this is when you begin to feel frustrated, overwhelmed, angry, whatever that may be. And so when we recognize all of this, we can then begin to notice that we're in a controlling state. We can then ask ourselves, what will we feel if we don't control this? What is the outcome that we are trying to avoid? And in that, we can say, okay, if I don't do this, I am going to fail. And I'm going to feel like a failure. And then you can lean towards what it would feel like to fail in that situation. In that, you then will be able to reveal other moments in your life where you felt like a failure. And then you can consciously and willingly begin to bring into your life the feeling of failure. And I know that seems backwards, but if we want to transcend the protection that is limiting us, which in this case is control, we have to uncover what it is protecting us from, and we have to face it fully and completely. And just by having that intention to face what is on the other side of control, just by having that intention, everything that you need to break free from the pattern of control, everything that you need to feel the pain beyond the control will be revealed to you. And when you finally show the mind that you are okay in whatever pain is beyond the control, the mind will stop trying to control. You will let go. You will let other people delegate. You can give responsibility to other people. You will let other people make mistakes, and you will be okay in all of it. And from that, you will become more relaxed, less overwhelmed, and probably move towards the state of freedom. And this is how we transcend the behavior, the protection of control. We notice it and we ask, what is it protecting us from? With those two simple questions, you can break the pattern of control for good. And so the thing I'll leave you with is to start with noticing, to start with paying attention to all of those moments in your life where you are controlling everything. And in that noticing, that is enough in itself. If you want to go deeper, you can ask, what is it protecting me from? This is a process of spiritual growth. This is a process of moving up the scale of consciousness. This is what I've dedicated the last 20 years of my life to. If you want to learn more, if you want to keep following content like this, like and subscribe for more. Thanks for taking the time to listen.